Most of your stress comes from things that won't matter tomorrow. Think about yesterday. What upset you then? Can you even remember? Probably not, because it was small, it was temporary, it was nothing. Yet you gave it your energy, your peace, your entire day. Today, you learn to stop. You learn to protect your peace. You learn to let the small stuff go. Chapter 1. Stop treating every problem like a crisis. Not everything deserves your panic. Not everything needs your immediate reaction. Most things you stress about today won't exist next week. But your brain doesn't know that. It treats a rude email like a threat. A traffic jam is like a disaster. A small mistake like the end of everything. And you respond accordingly. Heart racing, mind spinning, energy drained. Here's the truth. Your stress response was built for survival, for real danger. But now it fires at everything. The result, you live in constant tension over things that don't actually threaten you. Think about the last 5 things that stressed you out. How many of them were truly urgent? How many actually mattered a month later? Probably none. Yet in the moment, they felt massive. Most people never question this pattern. They just react. Email comes in. Stress goes up. Someone says something wrong. Anger floods in. The day doesn't go as planned. Frustration takes over. It's automatic. It's exhausting. And it's completely unnecessary. The people who stay calm aren't lucky. They're not detached. They just learned one skill. They ask themselves, will this matter in a year? If the answer is no, they let it go. Right there. No drama. No spiral. Just release. That doesn't mean you ignore real problems. It means you save your energy for what actually counts. You stop giving away your peace to things that aren't worth it. Here's what most people miss. Every time you overreact to something small, you train your brain to see threats everywhere. You make yourself more sensitive, more reactive, more fragile. The opposite of what you want. But when you choose calm, you build strength. You prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort without falling apart. That builds real confidence, real resilience. What would change if you stopped treating minor inconveniences like emergencies? How much energy would you save? How much peace would you gain? The next time something small tries to steal your day, pause, take one breath, ask if it will matter next month. If not, let it go. Don't analyze it, don't explain it. Just move on. Starting today, save your reaction for what truly matters. Everything else gets calm. Everything else gets perspective. Everything else gets released. Chapter 2. Let go of what you cannot control. You waste energy trying to control things you never could. Other people's opinions, past mistakes, future outcomes, traffic, weather, how fast time moves. None of it is yours to control, yet you try anyway. You stress, you plan, you worry, you replay conversations, you imagine disasters that haven't happened, and nothing changes except your peace. Control is an illusion. The tighter you grip, the more anxious you become, because deep down, you know the truth. You can't control most of what happens. You can only control how you respond. Most people hate hearing this. They want guarantees. They want certainty. They want to know everything will work out exactly as planned. But life doesn't work that way. It never has. The irony? The more you try to control everything, the more out of control you feel, because you're fighting reality. You're arguing with what is, and reality always wins. Think about your biggest worries right now. How many things involve you that can actually change? Probably very few. Most are about what might happen, what someone might think, what could go wrong. All things beyond your reach. Here's the shift. Focus only on what you can influence. Your actions, your attitude, your effort, your response. That's it. Everything else, let it be. This isn't giving up. It's wisdom. It's knowing where your power actually lives, not in controlling outcomes, but in controlling yourself. When you stop trying to control everything, something surprising happens. You become more effective because you're no longer scattered across 100 worries. You're focused on the one thing that actually moves the needle. You. What are you trying to control that you need to release? What worry are you carrying that isn't yours to fix? Most people carry the weight of the entire world. They think if they worry enough, plan enough, control enough, everything will be fine. But it doesn't work. It just makes them tired. The people who find peace aren't the ones who control everything. They're the ones who learn to let go, to trust the process, to focus on today, to release tomorrow until it arrives. From now on, notice when you're trying to control what you can't. Stop yourself. Redirect that energy to what you actually can change. Your next action, your next thought, your next choice. That's where your power lives. Chapter 3. Choose your battles or lose your peace. Not every argument needs your voice. Not every wrong opinion needs correction. Not every slight deserves a response. But most people can't resist. Someone says something wrong, and they jump in. Someone criticizes and they defend. Someone disagrees and they attack. Every single time. No filter, no strategy, just reaction. And what do they get? Exhaustion, conflict, damaged relationships, lost time, all to win battles that never mattered in the first place. Here's what nobody tells you. Every time you engage, you give power away. You let someone else control your energy, your mood, your day. Is that really worth it? Think about the last argument you had. Did you win? Even if you did, what did you actually gain? Did it change their mind? Probably not. Did it improve your relationship? Unlikely. Did it bring you peace? Definitely not. Most arguments aren't about truth. They're about ego. Someone needs to be right. Someone needs to prove their point. Someone needs the last word. But none of that builds anything. The strongest people know when to walk away. Not because they're weak, because they're wise. They know their peace is worth more than proving a point. This doesn't mean you never stand up for yourself. It means you choose carefully. You ask, is this worth my energy? If the answer is yes, you engage fully. If not, you let it go. Most people never ask that question. They just react to everything, every comment, every criticism, every disagreement, and they wonder why they're always drained. What battles are you fighting that don't deserve your energy? What arguments are you having that lead nowhere? Here's the test. If this won't matter next week, don't give it your energy today. Save yourself for what actually counts, for real issues, for people who matter, for moments that build instead of drain. When you stop fighting every battle, you become harder to shake. People say things, and you stay calm. Situations go wrong, and you stay focused. Drama happens around you, and you stay centered. That's not a weakness, that's strength. Real strength doesn't prove itself every time. It chooses when to act, and when to let go. Starting today, filter everything before you respond. Ask if it's worth it. If not, stay silent. Save your energy. Protect your peace. Let the small battles go. You know this, but you still wait for it. The perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions, the perfect feeling. And while you wait, life passes. Opportunities disappear. Time runs out. You stay exactly where you are, stuck, frustrated, wondering why nothing changes. Here's why. You're waiting for something that will never come. Perfect is a trap. It's an excuse dressed up as preparation. It lets you delay without admitting you're afraid. Think about what you've been putting off. Starting that project, having that conversation, making that change. How long have you waited? What are you really waiting for? Most people say they're waiting for the right moment, but the right moment is just the moment you decide to move. That's it. Nothing magical happens. No sign appears. You just choose to start despite the fear. The people who build real lives don't wait for perfection. They start to get messy. They learn as they go. They make mistakes and adjust. They move forward even when they don't feel ready. Because here's the secret. You'll never feel ready. Not really. There will always be more to learn, more to prepare, more to consider. If you wait for complete certainty, you'll wait forever. Progress doesn't come from perfect conditions. It comes from imperfect action, from starting before you're ready, from learning by doing instead of planning forever. What would happen if you stopped waiting? If you took one small step today, not perfect, not huge, just one move forward. Most people overestimate what they need to start. They think they need the full plan, the perfect setup, all the answers, but you don't. You just need to begin. The rest reveals itself as you move. Every successful person started before they were ready. Every great work began imperfectly. Every breakthrough came from someone who moved despite uncertainty. The difference between people who achieve and people who don't isn't talent, it's willingness to start imperfectly, to be bad at something new, to figure it out along the way. How much longer will you let perfect hold you back? How much time will you lose waiting for conditions that never arrive? From this moment, choose action over perfection. Choose messy progress over perfect stillness. Choose real steps over imaginary plans, because done imperfect beats perfect. That never happens. About how life works, and that's okay. Being wrong doesn't make you worthless. It makes you human. It makes you someone who's actually trying instead of playing it safe. But most people can't handle this. They tie their worth to being right. So when they're wrong, they fall apart. They defend, they deny, they attack whoever pointed it out. Anything to avoid the discomfort. Here's what that costs: growth, connection, peace. Because you can't learn when you can't admit mistakes. You can't improve when you can't see your flaws. You can't connect when you can't be vulnerable. Think about the last time you were wrong. How did you react? Did you admit it easily? Or did you defend yourself even when you knew the truth? The strongest people admit mistakes quickly, not because they make fewer, because they know being wrong isn't the problem. Refusing to admit it is. Every time you defend a mistake, you lock yourself into it. You make it part of your identity. But when you admit it fast, it becomes just information, just feedback, just a chance to adjust. Most people waste years protecting their ego instead of improving their life. They'd rather be right than be better, so they stay stuck repeating the same patterns. What if you treated being wrong differently? What if instead of shame, you felt curiosity? Instead of defense, you felt openness? That's the shift. From fragile ego to strong character. From needing to be right to wanting to grow. From protecting your image to improving your reality. This doesn't mean you're wrong about everything. It means when you are, you own it, you learn from it, you move forward, without carrying the weight of pretending you're perfect. The people who grow fastest aren't the ones who make no mistakes. They're the ones who acknowledge mistakes fastest, who adjusts quickest, who doesn't need to be right to feel valuable. When was the last time you said, I was wrong, without adding excuses, without softening it, without defending yourself? Starting today, practice being wrong. When you make a mistake, admit it. When someone corrects you, thank them. When you learn something new that contradicts what you believed, update your view. No drama, no defense, just grow. Chapter 6. Build the habit of letting things go daily. Peace isn't something you find once and keep forever. It's something you practice every day, sometimes every hour, because every day brings new chances to hold grudges, new reasons to stay upset, new things to stress about, new moments that test whether you've really learned to let go. Most people think they've let something go, then it comes back, in their thoughts, in their conversations, in their mood, and they realize they never released it at all. They just buried. Real letting go means you don't pick it back up. You don't replay it. You don't tell the story again and again. You don't use it as proof of how hard you have it. You actually release it. Here's why this matters. What you hold on to shapes you. Hold on to anger and you become angry. Hold on to hurt and you become bitter. Hold on to stress and you become anxious. You literally become what you carry. Think about what you're still carrying. Old arguments, past rejections, things people said years ago, mistakes you can't undo. How heavy is that weight? Every morning you wake up, you choose what to carry. Most people don't realize this. They just pick up yesterday's burden automatically. They carry last week's stress, last year's resentment, sometimes decades of accumulated pain.
but you don't have to. You can wake up and choose to start fresh, to leave yesterday behind, to forgive, to release, to move forward light. This isn't easy. Your mind wants to hold on. It thinks remembering keeps you safe. It thinks rehearsing prepares you. It thinks holding grudges protects you, but it's wrong. What you hold on to doesn't protect you. It weighs you down. It drains your energy. It keeps you stuck in the past, while life happens in the present. What needs to be released today? What old story are you still telling yourself? What grudge are you ready to drop? The practice is simple but not easy. When something upsets you, feel it, then release it. Don't analyze it for hours. Don't tell everyone about it. Don't let it define your day. Just feel it and let it pass. Most people do the opposite. They feel something and then feed it. They think about it, talk about it, build a case around it, and it grows. What could have been a moment becomes a mood becomes a day becomes a pattern. Starting today, practice the release. When something bothers you, acknowledge it. Then ask, am I willing to carry this? If not, put it down, right there. No ceremony needed, just a conscious choice to move on.
Chapter 7. Focus on what you can add, not what you lost. You will lose things. People, opportunities, time, health, money, certainty, control. Everyone does. That's life. But here's where people split. Some focus on what's gone. They count losses. They replay what could have been. They stay stuck in what they can't get back. And they become bitter. Others focus on what they can build, what they still have, what's possible now, what they can create from here. And they move forward. Both groups faced loss. The difference isn't what happened to them. It's what they chose to focus on after. Think about your biggest loss. Maybe it's recent. Maybe it's old. Are you still mourning what's gone, or are you building what's next? Most people get stuck because they think acceptance means they don't care. They think moving on means it doesn't matter, but that's not true. You can honor what was and still choose what is. The past happened. You can't change it. You can only choose what you do now. Do you use your energy to mourn what's gone, or to build what's possible? This doesn't mean you don't grieve. Grief is real. Loss hurts, but there's a difference between healthy grief and staying stuck. Healthy grief processes and releases. Staying stuck holds on and refuses to heal. What are you holding on to that you need to release? What loss are you using as a reason to stop building? Here's the hard truth. Life doesn't pause while you heal. It keeps moving, and you have two choices. Move with it, or get left behind. The people who rebuild after loss aren't stronger. They're not tougher. They just made a different choice. They chose to focus on what they could add, instead of what they lost. You still have today. You still have your mind, your choices, your ability to create, your capacity to grow. That's not nothing. That's everything you need to start again. What can you build today? What small step can you take toward what's next? What possibility exists right now that you're ignoring because you're focused on what's gone? From now on, when you catch yourself dwelling on loss, redirect. Ask, what can I create from here? Not to ignore the pain, but to honor it by not wasting what remains. Chapter 8. Stop expecting everyone to think like you do. People are different. They see things differently. They value different things. They respond to life differently, and that's not wrong. But most people can't accept this. They expect everyone to think like them, to react like them, to care about what they care about. And when people don't, they get frustrated. Here's what happens. You think something is obvious. Someone else doesn't see it. You explain. They still don't agree. You get upset. You think they're being difficult, or stupid, or stubborn. But really, they just see it differently. This causes so much unnecessary conflict with partners, with family, with co-workers, with friends. All because you expect people to think like you when they never will. Think about your recent frustration. How many came from expecting someone to respond the way you would? How many could have been avoided if you just accepted they see things differently? The people who stay calm understand one thing. Different doesn't mean wrong. It just means something different. And different is normal, expected, unavoidable. When you stop expecting everyone to think like you, something shifts. You become less frustrated, less disappointed, less angry, because you're not constantly fighting reality. This doesn't mean you accept bad behavior. It means you stop being surprised when people act according to their nature, not yours. Most people waste energy trying to change how others think. They explain again and again. They get frustrated when it doesn't work. They take it personally when someone doesn't get it. But here's the truth. You can't think for other people. You can share your perspective. You can set your boundaries. But you can't make someone see what they're not ready to see. What expectations of others are causing you stress? Who are you trying to change that you need to accept? Freedom comes when you release control over other people's thoughts. When you accept that they'll think what they think, and you'll respond based on your values, not their agreement. Starting today, let people be different. Let them think differently. Let them respond differently, and decide what you'll do based on who you are, not who you wish they were. Chapter 9. Train your mind to return to peace quickly. Your mind will wander into stress, into worry, into replaying past problems, into imagining future disasters. That's normal. That's what minds do. But you don't have to stay there. You can train your mind to return to peace, not once, but over and over, every single time it drifts. Most people let their mind run wild. A thought appears, and they follow it, down a spiral, into a mood, through an entire story, and hours later, they're exhausted from a problem that only existed in their head. The difference between peace and chaos isn't whether difficult thoughts appear, it's how quickly you redirect them. Think of your mind like a puppy. It wanders, that's its nature. You don't punish it for wandering, you just gently bring it back, again and again. That's the training. Every time you notice your mind spinning, you have a choice. Keep following the thought, or return to now. Most people don't realize they have this choice. They think if a thought appears, they must think it through. But you don't. You can notice a thought and let it pass. You can catch yourself spiraling and choose to stop. You can redirect your attention back to what actually matters right now. This takes practice, lots of it, because your mind has years of conditioning to worry about, to stress, to assume the worst. You're not going to undo that overnight, but every time you choose to return to peace, you make it easier. You build the neural pathway. You train the habit. You prove to yourself that you can. How often does your mind drift into stress? How long do you stay there before you notice? Most people spend entire days lost in their thoughts, replaying conversations, imagining conflicts, worrying about outcomes, and they wonder why they're always anxious. The people who stay calm aren't the ones whose minds never wander. They're the ones who catch it fast and bring it back, who notices the spiral and stops it, who chooses peace over and over until it becomes natural. What thought pattern keeps pulling you away from peace? What story does your mind tell that you need to stop following? Starting today, practice the return. When your mind drifts to stress, notice it. Don't judge yourself. Just gently redirect. Back to your breath. Back to now. Back to what you can actually control. Do this 100 times a day, if needed. That's not failure. That's training. Chapter 10. Remember that most of this won't matter soon. 1 year from now, most of what stresses you today will be forgotten. You won't remember the rude comment, the traffic jam, the minor mistake, the thing that didn't go as planned. It will all fade, because it was small, it was temporary, it only felt big at the moment. But right now, it feels massive. It consumes your thoughts. It ruins your mood. It steals your peace. All for something that won't even register as a memory next month.
This is the perspective most people miss. They give today's problems tomorrow's importance. They treat temporary stress like permanent disaster, and they suffer far more than necessary. Here's the question that changes everything. Will this matter in a year? Be honest. Really think about it. Most times, the answer is no. And if it won't matter then, why give it so much power now? Why let it dominate your day, your energy, your peace? Think about last year. Can you even remember what stressed you out this same week? Probably not, because it didn't matter. It passed, like everything does. The people who stay peaceful aren't the ones with easy lives. They're the ones with perspective, who sees the past today, who knows that this too shall pass, who save their energy for what actually lasts. Most things don't last. Most problems solve themselves. Most stress is borrowed from a future that never arrives. The way you imagine. What are you stressed about right now that won't matter next month? What's stealing your peace, that won't even be a memory soon? This doesn't mean nothing matters. Some things do. Real relationships, real health, real values. But most daily stress, it's noise. It's temporary. It's small stuff disguised as big stuff. When you zoom out, everything shrinks. The argument that felt huge becomes a blip. The mistake that felt catastrophic becomes a lesson. The day that felt ruined becomes just another day. How would you treat today differently if you knew that nothing happening right now would matter next year? Would you still get upset? Would you still stress? Would you still let it steal your peace? From now on, use time as your filter. Before you react, ask if it will matter later. If not, let it go now. Don't wait until it fades. Choose to release it while it's happening. That's real freedom. Peace is a choice you make every day. Not once, every single moment. You choose what to carry and what to release, what to stress about and what to let go. Most of life is small stuff, and you get to decide whether you sweat it or not. Choose wisely.